Rita had always felt like the outsider in her own home. After their biological mother passed away in a tragic car accident 6 years ago, everything about their lives had changed. Her father, Romario, once vibrant and filled with jokes, had become a shell of the man she once adored. Grief had eaten away at him for a long time. He barely spoke unless it was absolutely necessary. He began drinking occasionally, sometimes forgetting dinner, sometimes forgetting to check if his kids were even home. Rita was only 13 when their mother died. Her brother Jonty was 15, just 2 years older, but the gap felt wider every year. Jonty was always the golden boy. Popular in school, charming, good-looking girls hovered around him like moths to flame. Teachers forgave his late assignments, and neighbors excused his mischief. He had the kind of face one that could lie and still be believed. For Rita, things were different. She was introverted, observant, and often spent her time writing in journals or reading horror novels. She didn't talk much, but she watched everything. And when their father remarried Lisa, a woman nearly 15 years younger than him, Rita's instincts kicked in immediately. Lisa was beautiful, too. Beautiful. Long brunette hair, piercing gray eyes, and a figure that seemed to defy motherhood. She moved in with a polished smile and soft voice, always calling Rita sweetie and offering to braid her hair or help her with makeup. But something in Lisa's eyes unsettled Rita. It was that kind of warmth that felt performed, not real. Lisa didn't move like someone grieving a lost sisterhood with the previous wife. She moved like a woman with a plan. Romario, on the other hand, saw Lisa as a savior. Raising 2 kids alone had pushed him to his limits, and Lisa brought him a sense of control again. Within a month, she had taken over the house, cooking meals, arranging the furniture differently, even redecorating the walls. Rita still remembered how she threw out their mother's favorite boss and replaced it with a neon abstract sculpture. But it wasn't Lisa's dominance that rattled Rita. It was John's behavior. At first, it was subtle. He became friendlier with Lisa than most stepsons would. He complimented her cooking too often, always lingered when she walked past. And once, Rita overheard him call Lisa sexy when he thought no one was listening. Lisa had only laughed too comfortably. Rita dismissed it at the time as just teenage immaturity, but something about it clung to her. Then came the inappropriate touching, once while Rita was watching TV late at night. She saw Lisa walk past the hallway in nothing but a towel. Behind her was Jonty, shirtless, smirking and whispering something that made Lisa slap his arm playfully. Rita's stomach churned. Other days, Jonty would walk up behind Lisa in the kitchen and wrap his arms around her waist, holding on longer than a mother-son. Bug should have lasted. Lisa never pushed him away. In fact, she'd often smile and tilt her head back into his chest, eyes closed like it was a private moment she savored. No one else seemed to notice or care. Rita tried talking to her dad. She brought it up subtly at first, saying things like, "Don't you think Lisa and John? We are too comfortable." Romario waved her off with an exhausted sigh. "Don't start with that nonsense, Rita. Lisa's been great to you both. She's trying." After a while, Rita stopped bringing it up. Still, she watched Lisa and John's bond grew thicker, more private. They whispered to each other in corners. Exchanged texts even when they were in the same room. Rita once saw Lisa sneak into John's room at night with a tray of hot chocolate. She stayed there for almost an hour. When she left, her hair was messy and her robe hung loosely around her waist. Then came Diana. Lisa's cousin showed up one Thursday afternoon with 2 oversized suitcases. In a sparkling grin, Diana was a bombshell. Short black dress, crimson lipstick, and a laugh that could make any man turn his head. She said she was visiting for a month and was just dying to spend some girl time with her cousin. From the moment she arrived, Diana claimed space on the couch in the kitchen. The dinner table. She flirted shamelessly with Romario, complimenting his build, even calling him daddy once with a wink that made him chuckle uncomfortably. But Diana seemed far more interested in Jonty than anyone else. They laughed together in the backyard, smoked secretly on the roof, and sometimes disappear into the guest room when Lisa was around. Rita hated every moment of it. The energy in the house had shifted from strange to something darker, heavier. She felt like an alien in her own home. No one acknowledged the tension, but it thickened with every passing day. Lisa, Diana, and Jaunty moved like a secret unit, always whispering, always plotting. Always sharing inside jokes with undertones that made Rita's skin crawl. She told herself she was imagining things again. Maybe she was just jealous. Maybe it was her mind spiraling. But then one night around 2:30 a.m., Rita woke up to use the bathroom. As she stepped out of her room, she noticed something strange. The guest room door was open just a crack, a sliver of dim light slicing across the hallway floor. She paused and held her breath. Suddenly the door opened wider. Out came Jaunty, bare-chested, his pants halfway buttoned. Behind him was Lisa's hair, messy, wearing one of Romario's shirts with no bra underneath. And then Diana followed, wearing nothing but an oversized towel in a dazed smile. The three of them froze momentarily in the hallway, whispering something she couldn't hear before each quietly headed back to their respective rooms. Rita stood there, frozen, heart slamming in her chest, hands shaking. She couldn't believe what she had just witnessed. Her eyes darted across the hallway, as if trying to convince herself it was a dream. But it wasn't. It was real. Everything made sense now. The lingering touches, the secret of laughter, the night visits. This wasn't just a hunch anymore. Rita didn't sleep that night. She sat in her room, staring at the wall. 4 hours, trying to figure out what to do. No one would believe her. Her dad certainly wouldn't. He adored Lisa and still believed Jaunty could do no wrong. And even if she said something, what proof did she have? Her mind raced in every direction until it landed on one terrifying but necessary decision. If no one would believe her. Words. She'd show them the truth, no matter how ugly it was. The next morning, Rita barely said a word at the breakfast table. She sat with her eyes fixed on her plate, mechanically pushing scrambled eggs around without taking a single bite. Across from her sat Lisa, dressed in a cream satin robe, smiling as if nothing happened the night before. Jaunty came in later, yawning, shirtless, kissing Lisa lightly on the cheek right in front of everyone. Diana walked in last, wearing short cotton shorts and a tank top that left nothing to the imagination, humming a song Rita didn't recognize, like she had just woken from a dream she didn't want to end. Romario reading the newspaper and sipping black coffee remained blissfully unaware. Rita felt bile rise to the back of her throat. Her hands trembled under the table. Her whole body was screaming. She had seen them. The three of them together, filthy, intimate, shameless. There was no more speculation, no more doubts. She had witnessed it with her own eyes, and now it was like watching actors in a sick play, pretending everything was normal. She excused herself quickly, retreating to her bedroom. Her mind spun, mildly battling between two sides. Confront them now or trap them permanently in their own mess. She knew her father. He wasn't just emotionally invested in Lisa. He had and built his entire second chance at happiness around her. After years of grief and drinking, it was Lisa who had fixed him. His pride wouldn't let him see that she might have been sleeping with his own son, let alone bringing her cousin into the mix. And as for Jaunty, he was Romario's shadow no matter what. Rita locked her bedroom door and sat on the floor beside her bed, hugging her knees tightly to her chest. The house outside her room sounded ordinary. Plates clinked in the kitchen. Diana laughed loudly at something downstairs. Romario's heavy footsteps moved toward the garage before the front door slammed shut as he left for work. But nothing was ordinary anymore. Rita reached for her phone with trembling hands. If she was going to expose them, she needed proof. Not guesses. Not suspicions. Proof. She opened an old shoebox beneath her bed where she kept journals, batteries, and random electronics she collected over the years. At the bottom was a tiny motion detection camera she had once bought online after becoming obsessed with true crime documentaries. Her fingers hovered over it. Part of her still hoped she was wrong. Maybe there was another explanation. Maybe what she saw in the hallway meant something else. Maybe exhaustion and paranoia had twisted everything in her head. But deep down, she knew the truth already. That evening, Rita waited carefully for the right moment. Lisa and Diana were in the backyard drinking wine while Jaunty blasted music from the garage gym. Romario still hadn't returned home. Quietly, Rita slipped into the upstairs hallway. Her heart pounded so loudly she thought someone might hear it through the walls. She entered the guest room first. The smell hit her immediately: perfume, cigarette smoke, and something heavier underneath. The bed sheets were messy. 3 glasses sat on the nightstand beside an empty wine bottle. Rita swallowed hard and crouched beside the bookshelf, positioning the tiny camera behind a row of old novels. A blinking green light flickered once. Recording. Next, she moved toward Lisa's bedroom. The door was partially open. Rita froze when she heard voices inside. "He's getting suspicious," Diana whispered. "He's clueless," Lisa replied calmly. "Romario sees what he wants to see." "And Rita." A pause. Rita's stomach tightened. "She's a problem," Lisa said softly. "But she'll keep quiet. Girls like her always do." Rita backed away slowly before they could notice her shadow under the doorway. That night, dinner felt unbearable. Jonty sat beside Lisa instead of across from her. Their knees touched beneath the table constantly. Diana kept smirking at private jokes Rita couldn't hear. Romario looked exhausted, barely speaking between bites. At one point, Lisa reached over and brushed sauce from Jonty's lip with her thumb. The gesture lasted only a second. But Rita saw it. And worse, Diana saw Rita seeing it. Their eyes met across the table. Diana smiled. Not warmly. Warningly. Rita barely slept again. Around midnight, thunder rolled outside the house. Rain hammered against the windows while shadows stretched across her ceiling. She kept checking the live feed from the hidden camera on her phone. For nearly an hour, nothing happened. Then the guest room door opened. Lisa entered first wearing a silk robe. Jonty followed seconds later. Diana came last, locking the door behind her. Rita's pulse exploded. The camera had no audio, but it captured enough. The whispering. The touching. The way Lisa pulled Jonty close while Diana laughed beside them. Rita immediately stopped the recording before things went further. She had enough. More than enough. Her breathing became shallow as panic mixed with disgust. She saved the footage into a hidden folder and backed it up online twice. Now she had proof. Real proof. But instead of relief, fear settled over her like ice water. Because now she understood something terrifying. Lisa wasn't just manipulating her father. She controlled everyone in that house. The next morning, Rita found Romario alone in the kitchen fixing coffee before work. This was her chance. "Dad," she said quietly. Romario glanced up tiredly. "Morning. I need to show you something." He frowned slightly at her tone. Rita pulled out her phone, her thumb shaking over the video file. Before she could press play, another voice interrupted behind them. "What are you two talking about?" "Lisa." She stood in the doorway wearing a white blouse and dark jeans, smiling softly, but her eyes locked directly onto Rita's phone. For one brief second, the mask slipped. Coldness flashed across her face. Then it vanished. Romario sighed. "Your daughter's acting strange again." Lisa walked closer slowly. Rita felt every instinct inside her screaming. "Don't trust her." Lisa placed a gentle hand on Romario's shoulder. "Maybe Rita's still struggling emotionally," she said sweetly. "Teenage years can be confusing." "I'm not confused," Rita snapped. The room fell silent. Jonty suddenly appeared behind Lisa, leaning casually against the wall. Diana stood farther back in the hallway, watching everything unfold with sharp eyes. It hit Rita instantly. The three of them already knew. Somehow they knew. Lisa tilted her head sympathetically. "Sweetie, why don't we talk privately?" "No." Rita gripped her phone tighter. Romario rubbed his forehead impatiently. "Rita, enough drama before breakfast." Drama. That single word shattered something inside her. Without another sentence, Rita opened the video and turned the screen toward him. Romario's expression shifted from annoyance to confusion, then horror. The kitchen became deathly quiet except for the rain outside. Lisa's face lost all color. Jonty pushed himself off the wall instantly. "Dad, wait." Romario stood up so violently his chair crashed backward onto the floor. "What the hell is this?" he roared. No one answered. For the first time since their mother died, Rita saw real fire return to her father's eyes. And suddenly, the entire house felt like it was about to explode. Romario's hands shook as he replayed the video again and again. The kitchen had fallen into absolute silence. On the phone screen, Lisa sat across Jonty's lap inside the guest room while Diana laughed beside them. There was no misunderstanding anymore. No innocent explanation. No twisted excuse. It was all there. Romario looked like a man whose soul had just been ripped from his body. "Dad," Jonty started. "Shut up," Romario thundered. The force of his voice rattled the dishes in the kitchen cabinets. Lisa stepped forward carefully, her tone calm and calculated. "Romario, please let me explain." "You touched my son," he barked, veins bulging in his neck. "You sick woman." "It wasn't like that." Romario grabbed the coffee mug from the counter and hurled it across the room. It exploded against the wall beside Lisa's head, spraying ceramic shards everywhere. Rita flinched violently. Jonty moved protectively in front of Lisa. "Dad, stop acting crazy." That sentence made something snap completely inside Romario. "Crazy?" he hissed. "You betray me in my own house and call me crazy?" Diana suddenly grabbed Lisa's arm. "We should leave." But Romario blocked the kitchen entrance. No one was leaving. Rain pounded harder outside while thunder shook the windows. The tension inside the house became suffocating. Rita backed toward the hallway slowly, terrified of what was coming next. Romario pointed at Jonty with trembling fingers. "I raised you, fed you, protected you after your mother died." Jonty's face hardened. "Mom's been dead for years." The words landed like gasoline on fire. Romario lunged at him instantly. The two crashed into the dining table, knocking chairs over violently. Lisa screamed as Romario slammed Jonty against the wall. Years of buried grief, humiliation, and rage exploded out of him all at once. "You destroyed this family," Romario roared. Jonty shoved him back hard. Romario stumbled. Then Diana moved. Fast. Too fast. She grabbed the heavy wine bottle from the counter and smashed it across Romario's head. Crack. Glass exploded. Romario collapsed onto one knee, blood streaming down the side of his face. Rita screamed. For one horrifying second, everyone froze. Then chaos erupted. "You idiot!" Lisa shouted at Diana. "He was going to kill him." Diana yelled back. Romario slowly lifted his head. Blood covered his forehead. His eyes no longer looked human. They looked empty, cold, murderous. Without warning, he grabbed a broken bottle shard from the floor and charged at Diana. The jagged glass plunged deep into her throat. Diana let out a wet, choking gasp as blood sprayed across the kitchen cabinets in thick crimson bursts. Lisa shrieked. Jonty tackled his father from behind, slamming him onto the floor. The two men wrestled violently, slipping in blood and broken glass. Rita stood frozen near the stairs, unable to breathe. "Stop!" she cried. But nobody heard her. Lisa suddenly disappeared into the hallway. Seconds later, she returned holding Romario's handgun. Rita's blood turned to ice. "Get off him!" Lisa screamed. Jonty released his father instantly. Romario slowly stood up, breathing heavily, blood pouring down his face while Diana twitched weakly on the floor behind him. "You're going to shoot me now," he said hoarsely. Lisa's hands trembled around the gun. "You ruined everything," she whispered. Romario stared at her with pure hatred. "No," he said quietly. "You did." Then Jonty stepped beside Lisa and pointed the gun at his own father too. That broke Rita completely. Her brother, the boy she grew up with, now stood beside the woman who destroyed their family while a dying woman bled across the floor. Romario saw it too. The betrayal in his son's eyes. His expression crumbled. Not anger anymore. Just heartbreak. Then suddenly, bang! The gun fired. For a second nobody moved. Then Jonty looked down. A dark red stain spread across his stomach. Lisa gasped in horror. Rita realized what happened first. During the struggle, Lisa's finger had slipped on the trigger. Jonty staggered backward, clutching his abdomen. "Lisa," he whispered weakly. Blood poured between his fingers. Lisa dropped the gun instantly. "No, no, no, no." Jonty collapsed hard onto the kitchen floor beside Diana's body. Rita screamed again. Romario stared at his dying son in shock. But Lisa snapped. Something inside her shattered completely. She looked at Romario with raw animal hatred. "This is your fault." She grabbed the knife block from the kitchen counter and rushed him wildly. Romario caught her wrist, but Lisa slashed his shoulder deeply. Blood splattered the refrigerator door. The two struggled viciously across the kitchen. Then Romario overpowered her. He seized her throat with both hands. Lisa clawed desperately at his arms, knocking over chairs and plates as she choked violently. Rita watched in absolute horror. "Dad, stop!" she sobbed. But Romario couldn't hear her anymore. Years of grief, betrayal, loneliness, and rage had consumed him entirely. Lisa's movements weakened, then stopped. Her body collapsed limply to the floor. Silence. Only the sound of rain remained. Rita stood trembling in the middle of the destroyed kitchen. Diana was dead beside the cabinets. Jonty lay motionless in a widening pool of blood. Lisa stared blankly at the ceiling, her gray eyes frozen forever. And Romario. Romario slowly looked around at the bodies surrounding him. At the family he once tried to rebuild. Then he looked at Rita. Tears mixed with blood on his face. "I'm sorry," he whispered. Police sirens echoed faintly in the distance. A neighbor must have heard the gunshot. Romario glanced once more at Jonty's body before walking silently toward the kitchen counter. Rita realized too late what he was reaching for. The handgun. "Dad!" Bang. Rita collapsed to her knees, screaming as Romario's body hit the floor beside the others. The storm outside raged through the night while red and blue police lights flooded the house. By morning, the home looked less like a family residence and more like a massacre scene. 5 people had entered that house carrying secrets. Only one walked out alive. Rita. And for the rest of her life, she would never forget the sound of thunder mixed with gunfire inside the home that grief, lust, and betrayal had destroyed forever. Thanks for watching. Subscribe and like this video for more true crime video. Don't forget to leave your thoughts and theories in the comments section below. Take care and see you in the next video.